Hi, this is Sheila with Conscious Conversation Central, and it is Monday, April the 2nd, 2018. I'm with Lisa Flamino Rush and BZ Rieger this evening. Ladies.
Sheila.
Well, I'm not as out of it as I have been as of late, but I am still really tired, so I'm hoping I don't look as apparently pale as I felt or feel still sort of sometimes. So
You look wonderful.
oh, you're very kind.
I think it's funny that you said you're distracted, so you haven't been paying attention to be floaty.
Well, some of the floaty happens all on its own. It just hasn't been as floaty or as surreal as it was. No, I think the words I said were, I haven't had as much connection, which I immediately regretted saying because I now see the silliness of that.
I didn't repeat it.
No, I know, but I didn't
You only did it silently.
Yeah, no, but I mean, because I don't know what I'm expecting, but I do know that the real dreamy like slightly out of focus way that I've been walking around is not quite as intense as it was.
Yeah, so that's not connected.
No, I realize. No, that's true. That's a couple of different things there. So you're right.
Well, we're going to talk about letting go. So letting go of what and how do you do that? Well, there's a whole host of letting goes kind of in that idea. One of them is what you're talking about right here. So letting go of the expectation. Oh, okay, well, now I'm, starting to get trippy and I'm doing all these weird, fun, cool things and it's out there. So everything else is put aside over here. And you can still do that and experience that in different ways. You would call it forth in different ways. But if you have that expectation or have an assumption or have kind of, oh, I see, this is how it is now, right? And you have kind of an attachment, then you're just taking, lower mind ego stuff and glomming it onto all this cool stuff you did over here, right? So what you're describing, it's interesting because you're describing it in a way that's flowing for you, but you're ascribing things to it that may be more about disconnection or it's not as surreal. So i.e. is not happening as much. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if you let go of that for a minute, whiteboard, erase it. And so just notice, and what's the experience? You, especially if you don't get bogged down in it, you'll have lots more stream in, but you have up-leveled so that your perception of it is now not, if you're here and you go, oh, that cabinet just changed into a giant jellyfish, right? So cool, man, like you're toking a bong or something like that, right? But because you're more used to these things and you can more seamlessly flow in and out of the different energy frequencies, they're actually becoming more, this is not the right word, but it's kind of a linear place, or more solidified in the way that you're flowing through your energy frequencies, the different bandwidths, right, the different levels, and you're kind of moving through them.
Yeah, well, what I was getting when you were speaking there in regards to that was that anytime something new, a new experience happens that can be a bit disorienting, which is some of what this, I think, was perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
No, perhaps it was a bit disorienting on occasion, and on occasion still is. But but there's, with almost everything else, so I've had some integration time, I guess, and it's not as intense, and therefore doesn't mean it's necessarily less than. It's just that it's like you said, it's more solidified, or it's an anchored. Okay, it's anchored in.
It hasn't. Well, I can feel it, so it hasn't intensified at all, but it's not so new, so that it's kind of old hat, so that you're not going, whoa, that's a jellyfish cavity. You're going, oh yeah, I can see that. I could see through that, or this. It just is, right? Mm-hmm. So, and as you keep expanding, you and all of us other yous in the various ways that we're expanding, you'll notice that span, you'll enjoy the different things, you will notice them, but the whole kind of placeholder or kind of really stopping the play action, on your new experiential video won't be so dramatic, because it's just you. So let me see if I can say it. So whereas now for you personally, Sheila, I think one of the dramatic parts was that Smarmy left the building, right? And so you could experience these things. There was no doubting, there was no flip-flopping, there was no all these kinds of things, and they were kind of cool and, a little wild and a little confusing, and holy smokes, where'd the day go? But surreal and cool and interesting nonetheless. And so you were swimming in all that stuff, okay? Just like you dove into a pool, and instead of just being a blue-colored pool, with the coping on the side and, the bathing suit on and all that kind of stuff, this had, seahorses in it, and it wasn't a fish tank, kind of a surreal thing, right? Mm-hmm. So what I'm saying is that was pretty much your first extended swim in the pool, to use that pool metaphor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So now you've come in, come out, got used to, where it is. Actually, you know where it is. So now there's not that attachment to, is it going to happen, whether it's at the top of our mind or just an undercurrent, kind of nattering away there. And so as the next thing comes, you may come and you may go, well, that tree just got up and moved across the road, and I could see and hear it talking to me. Mm-hmm. And you'll stop and you'll have a conversation and you'll keep right on going. You will enjoy it. You will think it's, whoa, cool, right? But it won't be the, I gave an extreme thing, although they do that. But, it's the new normal. And very quickly, as you keep experiencing things and you keep flowing things and you keep up-leveling and going with it, you're not losing any of the wonder, but you're also not labeling the big differences. Because if you were doing that, you would actually do it in reverse, and you would look back at something from the 3D, which would be a big difference, and that would be the anomaly of the experience, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think so, but I'm not sure.
Well, I don't know why, but the one from the original Star Trek comes to mind, where Bones, who's the doctors, they're going to this planet and say, "My God, they still sew people up with cat gut."
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That was good. That was really good.
Okay, I gotcha.
So it's what we think, from, again, it's calling different perceptions to mind. So your experiences, your moment to moment within each shift of what we call a day, because that's it's on the time wheel, will become more and more wondrous, more and more expansive in more and more different ways. And you will play with it, enjoy it. You may freak yourself out occasionally, but all of that, right? So it's not like it's gotten boring. It's just that it is now so it's not remarkable in the same sense. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
If someone says, "Wow, that's remarkable," that would fit. But if it's not something that's so weird, you remarked about. It's not remarkable.
I gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So when you breathe in and out, do you stop and think about breathing in and out?
No.
Okay. Or when you notice that you have
sometimes
pants and a shirt and the sneakers on, you don't go, "Wow, I got pants and shirts and the sneakers," right? Because
I don't know. One may, as one hasn't, worn a whole lot of jeans and sneakers.
Oh yeah.
But it's the same kind. That's the same kind.
Yes, you're right. No, you're right. It is. Wow. Okay. And so then the letting go of the idea of it being
disconnected.
Right. Well. Right.
But that's why I call attention to it, because if we keep trying to pigeonhole things back from back there, we can't go back there, because the now moment is the only thing that exists, and back there doesn't exist. So we've actually collapsed timelines as we go, and we're collapsing whole realities because they're of a denser, slower, lower vibrational frequency. So they literally don't exist. So I don't watch a lot of movies, but I think it's funny that they're popping them in. So, Indiana Jones, and he's going along something, and it's behind him. He's running, right? Because behind him, it's crumbling and falling. Well, it's the same kind of a thing. And he's going to do wondrous things in front of him, and the path, is there.
Yeah.
But if he spends time thinking about, well, what was that stone like at the path? It's falling down because it's collapsing the timelines. I mean, that's one of the reasons some of those movies are really cool, because in different ways, aside from maybe just being a fun movie, and you're immersed in that and you step out of the world, it's showing you different pieces of all those. There's big dots, or puzzle pieces, however you collect it, and you start to put them together, and they can be from various different movies, and you see how things flow.
Yeah.
Because they didn't arrive in the imagination, in the creativeness of those beings who did them in a vacuum, because they were pulling stuff in from their other experiences and then putting a spin on it, in this imagination creative bubble that they opened up.
Wow.
So that's why I said I asked how how's it going? You've been flying around a lot. And so you said, well, I've been kind of disconnected. And then distracted. And then, so the reason that I call attention to that is because that was the first time in a while that Smarty's come back in and said, well, I've been distracted and disconnected because obviously that cool stuff's not happening, and maybe it wasn't real, and so just let go of that. Just say, just in this experience now, so that you're I think if you let go of the compunction to judge, I'm not even talking about other people, just judge in the moment. That's very
you're helpful. Right, but I have to set you straight on something.
What?
The distracted part. The distracted part, that wasn't a judgment on my part. Actually, I've had a lot of fun being distracted. I've been distracted in a good way. That wasn't that wasn't a judgment. It's something different.
Right. But what I'm saying is the fact that it's a label of a distraction, that somehow because you were focused on something else, that wasn't this whole expansive thing, it was a distraction or it distracted you from being able to be surreal. And what I'm saying is when you judge it, those things, not that, right? So you've actually minimized the cool distraction, because my guess is, even though in theory I don't know about the distraction, but my guess is that the distraction has a whole wonderful, robust symphony of colors and experiential things to it. And
yes.
By labeling it a distraction, you have judged it and played it down.
Oh, I see. Poor choice of words then.
Yes.
As I will only say then that it was a poor choice of words. As
when that's a habit of the words, because so why were you, if you're just in the moment and you're expanding and you were flying over here, right?
Yeah.
And now you're disconnected. So you're not doing that so much because you were distracted over here. Well, that's labeling and judging. Why couldn't you just be, well, I was flying over here and I was having all these expensive things, and now I got focused over here, and I'm having a ball playing over here, and it's expansion and a whole lot, right? Again, so that's the letting go part. That it's not of what was in the distraction, that that thing we're calling the distraction, or over here, it's the need to somehow, right, because Lisa knows where I'm going. So before, what the hell is the matter with me? All I've been doing is staring at the wall, right? So in a way, not the same words, the same things. Well, I'm not flying around, expanding. I'm distracted.
I see what you mean. Yes, poor choice of words, and
but the word,
obviously not the energy behind the word didn't come through either.
No.
Or what because I'm having all kinds of expansion, and perhaps distracted wasn't the right thing. It's just things haven't changed, I guess.
Yeah, well, you're a creative being, so I would hope so. It's not unlimited. All I was paying attention to is if you were to draw like a roadmap, so you were doing this, which was, a good thing because it's expansive and it's new and it's floaty and, okay, I'm doing the right thing, right? That's, you didn't use those words, but that was kind of what you're putting.
Okay.
But I'm not doing that so much right now because I guess I'm kind of disconnected from doing that because I'm distracted over here.
I gotcha.
So you actually minimize the wondrousness of the AKA distraction.
Right.
Because, and it's more than just a poor choice of word, because the word carries an energy frequency to it and paints the flow of the energy.
Yeah, I can see that now.
So one thing that I might play with is, well, that's interesting. Why why, what was it that let you or moved you or came in and directed you to, which is probably more apt, to describe it? Well, I went from flying and floating and surreal, just kind of laying down, feeling all these galaxies and molecules within my body, to doing this really cool thing over here. Instead, you were disconnected. Do you see what I'm?
Yeah, no, yes, I see it exactly, and now I have no clue as to what that is. But
So that's, it doesn't matter. You don't have to. But that's the letting go piece. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I don't need to be concerned about that.
Just let it go.
Let it all go.
And just pay enough attention the next time when, because it'll happen for a bit. When it happens that you're not trying to walk down that groove, because that's an old 3D groove. That's an old ego mind, right? I mean, you were right. You know more about the distraction, Lisa. So without distracting us with the distraction.
No, okay, so this is the conversation that needed to happen today, no matter what, because this is what the crux of the matter is. And I think it's the way you are choosing to hold it, Sheila. You're holding it in an old habitual form that is not serving you, and it's time for it to go. That's an old, worn-out groove. And it's stuck on repeat at the moment. And you said it so beautifully, BC. So how else have I been describing this to you, Sheila? It is the allowing of what is. And okay, so I love what you said about the letting go. You have to let go of that which is not you, that which is not truth, because now it's just truth. The only thing, this is like we're the giant marble. We're the big chunk of marble. And anything that isn't David is disappearing right now. And the only thing left is going to be this perfected vision of whatever it is that you're holding. Anything that you are holding in this moment that isn't that perfected vision is going to leave. So don't keep hanging on to it. Let it go.
I got it. Yeah.
I have been saying this I don't know how many ways. I couldn't wait for this conversation with you. To hear what you would do with it.
So it's by the very act this is my paper whiteboard. So here you were floating. I don't know if this will work on a, probably should use the whiteboard, but here you were floating on the bed, right? Airy, right. Really cool things happening, right?
Yeah.
And then I said, so how's it going? Have you been flying around a lot? So that was kind of my, euphemism for this. He said, no, not really. So here's like a Y intersection. No, not really. I've been disconnected. So feel the energy of that.
Yeah.
Okay. But that's a habit.
No, that is, yeah, that is it.
So that's part of the letting go. And then over here, it's interesting they both being with these, but this is the distraction, right? So one might think distraction, okay, well, I got a killer bill or a car drove into my kitchen or, those are distractions and they carry the same annoyance energy that you had, except yet, even though no one's told me what the distraction is, I can read when I can get past these descriptors of it and the energy flow and feel of the descriptors, that the distraction is pretty fantabulously delicious, right?
Yes.
So my question then is, this is why this part in the middle is the letting go.
I see.
Because you've done a disservice you're not disconnected because you're still animated in the body. So
yes, no, I the minute that came out of my mouth, I knew it was wrong.
And the distraction, that's a constraining energy frequency that you've put on something that's spectacular. And to take it, the letting go part here, that somehow now you should be expanding. You should be doing these things. You know, before you were watching paint dry on the wall and what the hell's the matter with you? But then you realized, okay, that was pretty, well, as a certain smarmy gentleman realized, well, that's pretty cool, right? And so now, what the hell's the matter with you? You're not flying around here. You're distracted. So that's, do you see what I'm saying? So isn't it fascinating how we're in all of these wonderful moments that are different, and this distraction is one kick-ass distraction, right? Okay. And this is a program, I have no idea from a linear sense what the distraction is, but I have a knowing what the distraction is. So they're incongruent. And so that's the letting go piece.
Yes.
Right? Is that habit? Is that so to simplify it and to put linear placeholder words on it, that judgment. Right. So I think it was interesting because you were trying to distract about the distraction, saying that, well, no, it wasn't a judgment of distraction. Because then if we went there, we wouldn't focus on why. Do you understand that there was a fork in the road? And if we get off on whether or not the distraction was judgmental, we don't have to look at this habit.
No, you're right. No, the habit is the most important thing to look at.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Smarmy was trying to drive us around. And so the beauty of it is that Smarmy comes in and is more in a more playful way. It's an action in a more playful, expansive way instead of, because the old tricks aren't working anymore, which was obvious when you were already flying around. Okay, wait a minute, she doesn't need me at all. In fact, she's not even listening because she's, watching the molecules in her dance and stuff. How am I ever going to get, you know what I'm saying? So there is evolution going on there, which is terrific. But we're the last part of this is we are in, we're not stepping into, we are in this wondrous moment by moment expansion. And letting go of the need, the habit, however you would frame it, to try to go back there and pull those labels, the judgment, whatever it is, on here is twofold. Because one, it's disappeared and it won't work. And it will cause you some consternation and discomfort. But more important, it will take you away from the now moment of the cool thing that you labeled as a distraction and this, that, and the other thing, right? And so, which is fine because you'll still keep expanding, this is just happening. But it's the habit of pulling stuff back. So that would be one of the many things to feel into letting go of for everybody.
Well, I've been, that's the whole idea, is looking at everything and habitual thing. I've got a lot of those habitual things.
Yeah. Oh, we all do.
So, wow.
And this, the same thing is just noticing that they're there. Well, somebody said, I forgot where I saw it. I think it was probably in a comment somewhere, and it may have been on the, I don't actually remember, but, and I may be putting two parts of two comments from unrelated people together because
it happens.
Well, because it's kind of a, it's kind of a groove or a flow of some energies out there that represent a whole larger. So one of part of the comment was they were alluding to how can this be if everything's changing and something like there is no saying that there's not going to be privacy anymore because if there's telepathy, which we'll talk about later, and all these kinds of things, then there's no privacy. And so I think that was on one kind of the other part. Well, maybe the telepathy came from another. But what's interesting for me there is, again, that's that reaching back into, right, from grabbing over here of privacy. So privacy, much like time or anything else, is a wholly man-made construct deeply embedded within the false construct, because in the false construct, the whole idea of privacy couldn't be more of a false illusory thing anyway. So I have to laugh that somehow, you're longing for the good old days of privacy, and I'm thinking, whoa, I just jumped in the, right? So there never has been any privacy ever in any way, because everything that you've done, whether you knew it or not, was all cataloged and whatever. And the reason that there isn't, and the need for privacy, again, is a moniker. It's a label. It's a judgment that we put on something because we somehow need to protect ourselves or cushion ourselves, or I don't want to. Well, when you have the expansion, your energy frequencies change. Yes, there's transparency and all, but that doesn't mean that there is overstepping or infringement on someone else's, their energetic fields. It just doesn't happen. It's not like you got to go teach somebody to quit doing that. The same kind of thing is, well, how can we go to the fifth dimension or expand our vibration? Or as the judge said to Heather, well, you mean all those people I locked up, I should just let them out because there's all these bad people. Okay. Well, first of all, again, that's a judgment thing, because if you really looked at all the sorting and looked through it, that probably 98%, probably more than that, of all the people who are incarcerated and guests of the hotels in this fine country are there simply because they're product. They're simply product to fuel the business. There's different trumped up charges, there's different things, there's all these different things. And so they have actually done nothing that certainly is in line with the punitive judgment nature of the judgment that was served on them and why they're in their time. Now, the other beings who may actually be in the, where they've done something bad and a crime and so on and so forth, well, yeah, but that's all about energy, frequency, vibration. And again, that's a product of this false construct and how it is. And, if we're looking on that aspect, we've got the mother of all bad actors and heinous crimes and everything else. And hey, they're at the top of the charts, to use one euphemism. They're lighting up the screen, to use another euphemism. They're going around the globe and, in the palaces, to use a thrice euphemism. So all of that, but again, that's where the compassion comes in. So those are other pieces of this letting go. And because we really are in an amazing new world, and yeah, it takes some getting used to, but playing is fun, and just letting go of that, wanting to put a label. If you're not certain what something is, go, wow. I mean, there are many, I think there are forms of therapy, but certainly in different kinds of art where, and in learning to tell stories and stuff, to, people are kind of give an example, stuff to play with, where you don't label the tree, you simply describe it. So remote viewing is a very good example that just popped in my head. There's many other ones that are more linear based, but remote viewing, because you don't, when you're having the things come in, you don't label it. In fact, I don't remember what it's called, but there's a little symbol that you write on your paper when you start to get a label that you put on it. You might go rough, smooth, these kinds of things. So it's more a feeling, sensing descriptor rather than there's a building, right? Because that's a label and has all those connotations which carry a frequency to them, which interrupts the true connection.
Wow.
I don't know if that makes sense, but that's...
No, it does make sense.
Yep.
So this has been a very quantum conversation because I've been all over the place, but they actually all do kind of go together. No, they actually go all together.
No, I can feel that they do. I can feel that they do. And the one thing that, the one and only thing that I can always say, and feel absolutely solid in, is that I'm willing to and want to look at everything. And I know that being habitual is a big one for me. It's, the way we, and this, I'm sure it must be for most everyone, the way we speak about things. And even the way we hold things. Yeah. I just have to keep challenging myself at every turn, and I'm all right with that. I can do that.
Yeah,
I'm getting pretty good at that.
I don't know why this came in, but it came in and then it left and then it came in again. So I'm just going to go with it. So you said the way we hold things. And immediately I had this vision that instead of holding anything, right, which has a perception or a groove, or, we might label it in various ways. So instead of holding anything, it's a precious bird that if you're holding it, it's too tight and you're crumpling its feathers. So let go of it and just see what it does as you're experiencing it. It may fly, it may morph, it may dematerialize, it may do all sorts of things, but it's not the holding, maybe it's the beholding.
Aww.
Of whatever is going on, right? That's there. So I don't know, that just flew out.
I like that. I like
really
that.
good.
That was awesome.
So yeah, you would just do it in different ways.
Well, thank you, BZ. That was awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you both for joining me.
Thank you.
And everyone's information will be in the body of this video, along with how to contact me. If you would like to get in touch with me, please do. I love hearing from everyone. So until next time.